Trump has proven that he's no different than Clinton by being just another war hawk. Is anyone surprised? Thank you for joining me on the 36th episode of the LAVA Spurt, Trump beating the war drums.
Welcome to the LAVA Spurt, the weekly offshoot of the lava flow. Channeling the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Brought to you by my per-episode donors. Thank you. Here's your host, Roger Paxton.
Trump is fitting right in at the Oval Office by continuing the war hawk stances of every modern president since, well, forever. His act of war against Syria and his saber rattling against North Korea is exactly the same sort of thing we've seen from Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush II, Obama, and exactly what we would have seen from Hillary Clinton had she been elected. While Trump campaigned as an anti-war candidate and that he would handle Russia differently than Clinton would have, I don't think any real libertarians are surprised by this turn of events. Trump is just following in a long line of footsteps and will continue to do so not only in the area of war. You can count on that. The funny thing about this is that even Trump himself was anti-Syrian war when Obama was saber-rattling just a few years ago. Oh, how the weak and lame have fallen. Some of Trump's previous tweets on Syria prior to being president should be reread by current President Trump. Here are just a few examples. Quote, "What will we get for bombing Syria besides more debt and a possible long-term conflict? Obama needs congressional approval." That was in August of 2013. Just a month later, Trump had two other tweets for Obama. Quote, "President Obama, do not attack Syria. There's no upside and tremendous downside." No shit, Sherlock. And his second tweet, quote, "Again, to our very foolish leader, do not attack Syria. If you do, many very bad things will happen, and from that fight, the U.S. gets nothing." So who's the fool now, Trump? Sadly, Trump was right in 2013. The action of bombing Syria puts more lives, including American lives, at risk than any action of Trump's presidency so far. I have a friend in the Navy right now, and he's told me that the war drums are beating extra loudly right now among his peers. He told me, quote, "I've washed my hands several times, and the blood just isn't coming off." Now, I'm terrified for my friend, for all men and women in the armed forces, and for all the men, women, and children in Syria. My friend in the Navy also tells me to tell my listeners, quote, "Just know that a disgusting amount of people in the service are itching for war." Grey Duck, thanks for the updates, and keep your head down and keep me posted on what's going on out there. There is no way that bombing Syria is going to end well for us at all. There's no way the calls for regime change and U.S. boots on the ground helps us out in any way, and all it will do is pull Russia into a proxy war with us, which will essentially bring about another Cold War. Senator Graham is calling for 6,000 boots on the ground. And U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, is saying that regime change in Syria is inevitable and that nothing is off the table when it comes to imposing tougher sanctions on Russia and Iran. Haley also said, quote, "We don't see a peaceful Syria with Assad in there." What the actual fuck? This is terrifying stuff, guys, and this could be an impetus to a large regional or even world war if we don't watch it. And speaking of Cold Wars, Trump has also sent the U.S. Navy's Third Fleet forward deployed strike group, headed by the supercarrier USS Carl Vinson and supported by guided missile destroyers and cruisers, orders to reroute towards the Korean Peninsula. And the National Security Council has presented Donald Trump with options to respond to North Korea's nuclear program, including putting American nukes in South Korea or killing dictator Kim Jong-un. Multiple top-ranking intelligence and military officials have told NBC News. Now, this is just what we need. Another war with North Korea, which will do nothing but give legitimacy to Kim Jong-un's rhetoric to his people that it's North Korea against the world. This will solidify his domination and dictatorship over his people, which is the exact opposite effect we would be looking for. Why is it that the people who claim to be our leaders want to wave their pricks around to see who has the biggest dick, all the while putting the average civilian more at risk and risking the lives of our military men and women as if they're nothing more than cannon fodder? I remember the previous calls for war with Syria in 2013. I remember the anti-war sentiment that was out there at the time from the right because Obama was president. Now the right is calling for this war and calling for regime change. Where's the anti-war left? Maybe this will finally get them back out in droves. although the left-leaning media seems to be complicit in helping Trump beat these war drums. As libertarians, we must remain vigilant, calling for peace and an end to war posturing, acts of war, and war-making. We must be on the front lines, saying these actions are wrong and spreading a message of non-intervention. We need to hold the warmongers accountable. And make no mistake about it, even if Congress does give President Trump congressional approval to make war with Syria, it doesn't make it moral. As George S. McGovern once said, quote, "I'm fed up to the ears with old men dreaming up wars for young men to die in. Fuck warmongers in the neck. I have 4 words for them. Not in my name." Until next time, keep striking the root.
Thank you for listening to The Lava Flow at thelavaflow.com. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe now at thelavaflow.com/subscribe. This has been a Pax Libertas Productions podcast.